Welcome to a special bonus episode of Yellow Table Talk and our Season 1 finale. I'm Maddie Shiff, the producer and co-creator of the show, and today I'm taking you behind the scenes. We're going to look back at Season 1, the key takeaways, the meaningful highlights, and what went into the making of the show, because here's a secret. I'm new to this. I don't have a background in audio production or podcasting, and I've been learning as I go. So this episode is a chance to pause, look back at what we've learned, and share what it's really been like bringing these conversations to life. Of course, I have a beverage, a homemade cortado that I'm enjoying with you today. So let's get into it. Let's rewind to the DM that started it all in February 2025. I'm an avid podcast consumer, and I'm someone who also enjoys hearing from those who operate in spaces that interest me, like climate. And I noticed a gap that I wanted to fill. I really wanted to hear from women who are doing climate work all over the world, maybe that I'm not aware of, because it's a tough year for folks in the sustainability space and the climate space. I figured other people were craving this content that I was missing as well. Other people could probably benefit from hearing about sustainability efforts going on in other parts of the world or in other areas of the climate space that they weren't as tuned into. So with that in mind, I reached out to Michelle with this idea. I'd met Michelle in June of 2022 at the second ever Women and Climate Dinner in New York City. I happened to find out about it via Instagram. It was my first week living in New York, and I decided I'd give it a shot. That's where I met Michelle and other Women in Climate co-founder Stephanie, and had stayed in loose touch over the years. So I reached out to Michelle with this idea in February 2025, thinking that the Women in Climate community had access to a diverse array of women all over the globe in all parts of climate. And it happened to be the right time and the right place. Michelle said she was interested, and we started to chat about this idea. Over the next few months, Michelle and I fleshed out the premise of the podcast, sourced guests and ideas, and planned Season 1. It's been extremely fun to put together this podcast. From energy experts to personal coaches to ocean biologists, each guest in Season 1 brought a new lens to what it means to work towards a sustainable future and shared with us how they participate in the climate space. A few recurring themes or ideas kept surfacing. Number one, the idea of the power of community came up time and time again. No one is an island. We saw this in Clarissa's episode speaking about the rich climate community in Hong Kong, and in Anino's episode talking about bringing women together at Davos, where women are historically underrepresented. We also heard about what it's like to establish a personal connection to your work. Jasleen spoke about that in mentioning that a personal connection to the ocean will improve how you advocate for it. Luba spoke about that in finding your why for plant-based eating. And Tiffany spoke to that as well when she discussed understanding your values and completing a regular values assessment. Lastly, there was also this reminder that despite challenges in the climate space and beyond, innovation persists and opportunities abound. Julia highlighted this when she spoke about LDES, long-duration energy storage, and described how LDES is already being used and the opportunity is here for us to expand on that. Gina also talked about how the maritime space gets a bad rap, but there's so much opportunity in the maritime space to decarbonize, to grow, and a lot of opportunity for women who are underrepresented in that industry. Now, I'm curious about what resonated with you most this season. What were some personal takeaways from any of the episodes or the season as a whole? Did any key learnings stand out? Let me know. Feel free to comment on any of the Instagram posts or LinkedIn posts, or send me an email with your thoughts at yellowtabletalkpod@gmail.com. I had some key learnings and personal takeaways from the season. Number one, this season helped me think about sustainability as something personal and cultural. Rather than treating sustainability as this technical or corporate topic, the guests at the Yellow Table framed it as a lived philosophy. So, for example, whether it was Luba exploring whole food, plant-based living, or Jasleen talking about Indigenous-led ocean stewardship, sustainability at the Yellow Table is about values and daily choices and identity, not just policy or performance metrics. Our speakers really invited people to locate sustainability in their own stories, in what you eat, in what you make, in what you wear, in what you protect, in what you think about, in what you prioritize. This season also helped me think about the intersection of systems and humanity. Every episode topic really sat at the edge of where the personal met the structural. So guests talked a lot about systems of consumption, of materials, of food, of community, and how these systems shape human experience and how individuals can work to reshape them to better incorporate sustainable values. This recurring through line of change beginning in relationships with self, with others, with the planet really resonated. We could see this in Tiffany's examination of one's own goals and values. We could see this in Anino discussing representation in groups and the need for more women in leadership. A final key learning for me was that there are diverse and plentiful pathways to impact. In this season, there was no single type of sustainability leader. Our guests ranged from scientists to practitioners and storytellers. They really reflected the pluralism of climate and sustainability work. Together, these episodes collectively show that there are many doors into the sustainability space, and they're all valid and important. It's a mosaic, not a monolith. So let's step behind the scenes for a second. There were several things that surprised me about producing a podcast. Number one, I really enjoyed the editing process. I found it fascinating to listen back to episodes after we recorded them as I was editing, cleaning up sound in the background, etc. And I found that a lot of the messages hit home even more the second or third time I was listening to them. I also found it interesting to think about the different tech stacks that you can have. When creating a podcast, you're using a platform to record. You're using a platform to edit. You are putting in a jingle, transition music. You are using a hosting platform. You are potentially using different platforms to edit different components. There are a lot of pieces that need to come together to make a smooth, coherent podcast episode. And that was an interesting learning for me. Production entails a lot of moving parts. It's not just walking up to a computer and starting to speak into it. There were, of course, some challenges along the way. The recording process was a learning journey. We had to make sure that internet connection was strong, and we wanted to make sure that the audio was as clear as possible. So we invested in mics. Michelle has a wonderful microphone. We also invested in foam boards to put around Michelle as she spoke so that there wasn't an echo and that the audio sounded clean and clear. There were several times when we had to change headphones and change the way that we were recording to make it as clear as possible. Another challenge is that I really don't know what I don't know in this space. I was figuring it out as I go, consulting Reddit and the internet along the way for help, and also consulting friends, colleagues, peers, acquaintances who had ever worked in the audio space or done any podcasting themselves for advice. We also had to make some interesting creative decisions in this process. Brainstorming a name was something that we had to do at the very beginning. And a lot of people have asked us, why Yellow Table Talk? Why do we choose this? So let me break it down for you. Yellow is a color that symbolizes creativity, freshness, vitality, and energy. It also happens to be one of Women in Climate's main colors. We thought this color really symbolized the vibe, the energy, and the essence of what we wanted to convey. When Michelle and I started this, we talked about wanting to create these conversations that were friendly, informal, the type of conversations you could have around a dinner table or a coffee table with friends, family, peers. And so we wanted to encourage this form of table talk, conversations that really let you into someone else's experience in someone else's life. And thus, Yellow Table Talk was born. And finally, throughout this process, it was just reinforced for me that people are more willing to share their experiences than I anticipated. And they're really looking for community and for a safe space to do that. Additionally, people really want to support sustainability efforts and climate efforts, but often we don't even know a fraction of the innovation going on in the climate space. And so hopefully Yellow Table Talk has been a way and will continue to be a way to let the greater community in on climate innovations, sustainability work, and really important efforts going on in all corners of the globe. The community that's formed around the show is really fantastic. Michelle and I have heard wonderful feedback from lots of listeners all over the globe who have really enjoyed episodes and hearing about the work that's going on. And so now I want to give a big thank you to you, the listeners. Michelle and I are thrilled to have reached such an engaged and enthusiastic community. We wouldn't have a show without you, so thank you to everyone who has listened to this episode, any episode, or shared with a friend. We are really excited for our next season, season 2 of Yellow Table Talk. That release date and all of the info about that will be announced in the future. But we want to hear from you. Let us know who you want to hear from in season 2. I will be linking the nomination form and post in the show notes, and we welcome all feedback. Feel free to send any thoughts, concerns, questions, feedback, ideas to yellowtabletalkpod@gmail.com. That email will also be in the show notes. So with that, we'll leave the Yellow Table for season 1. I'm Maddie Shiff, and this has been the first season of Yellow Table Talk. I'll see you next season, and until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to Yellow Table Talk anywhere you get your podcasts. Leaving the show a 5-star rating or a quick review helps the show reach a wider audience. So thank you all for your support throughout season 1, and we'll see you next season back at the Yellow Table.